This is Advanced File Manager, a WordPress plugin that's currently available as a lifetime deal on AppSumo. I've already got it installed on my website. It lets me see all of the files on the site. I can even open up the files and edit them using AI. I'll use search to find the file that I want, right-click on the file, open up with the code editor, and then anytime I'm confused, all I have to do is click on the AI icon to have it explain to me. What's this? And just like that, I get the answer. I can even connect up my cloud storage so it's easy to move files on and off of cloud storage and on and off WordPress. So for example, if I just wanted to grab all of my uploads and send them over to Google Drive, it's no big deal. I'll just find the folder I want to move them to. I'll put them in this demo folder and they're gonna start uploading to my Google Drive, no friction. And maybe you're doing some troubleshooting for a client and you need to get into their database, but you don't have access to their hosting. Well, if you buy the right plan on AppSumo, no problem, you can get right into the database. Now, throughout the rest of this video, I'm going to show you how to set all of this up, as well as answer some questions like, why would I pay for this when I can get a free one on the WordPress repository? And isn't this a massive security hazard? What in the world are you doing installing a file manager on WordPress? I'm going to address it all. Let's get into it. But first, you should know this video is sponsored by AppSumo. Not only can you get Advanced File Manager at AppSumo, but you can get literally hundreds of other tools to help grow your online business. I'm a huge fan of AppSumo and I'm very grateful they continue to sponsor this channel. If you want to check out AppSumo and find the best deals for your business, check out my affiliate link in the description. My thanks to AppSumo for sponsoring today's video. All right, let's set this up from scratch. I'll show you everything I did to get the file manager on my website. So here is the AppSumo deal page. You'll want to pick out a deal that works for you. You can see it starts off at $49. However, if you are providing services for clients, you'll probably want to get a higher tier plan. These are not just how many sites you can access, they're actually mapped to different deals on the Advanced File Manager website. Here's the Advanced File Manager website, and as you can see, they sell their own lifetime deal, but it's not as good as the AppSumo deal. So if you're watching this video while that's still available and you're in the market for this sort of thing, AppSumo is going to be the best way to go. Now, I do want to point out, because the pricing here is a little bit overwhelming. There's a lot of options. We've got basic, business, professional, and there's actually a fourth tier down below, which they call Infinite Access. Infinite Access is going to map directly to AppSumo's tier 4. Let's jump back over there. Tier 4 is the top tier, $409 here, and it is $600 on their website. Now, as you can see with the checkboxes here, with tier 4, you get all of the features, everything that it can do. The most important thing that I showed in the little intro was instant database access is only available in tier 4. So for me, providing services to clients, that is really an essential feature. I would want to have that. So just keep it in mind. If you are thinking that tier 4, $400 is a lot for a file manager, I don't disagree, but if you're an AppSumo Plus member, you can take 10% off of that. So just consider signing up. You'd save $40 right away. So the first step is you really need to figure out which plan makes the most sense for you. I would say for most people, probably skip tier 1 because it's so close to the free plan. I would just move up to tiers 2, 3, or 4. Personally, with tiers 2, 3, and 4, we get all of the cloud integration, which I feel like is so nice to have. And you also get all of these other things, including the AI integration where it can actually edit your code for you, or at least explain it if that's what you want it to do. Now, the AI stuff does require an OpenAI API key, which I will show you as we get further into the plugin. Now, after you make your purchase from AppSumo, they will link you over to the Advanced File Manager website where you'll create your account with them, get your download, and be able to upload it over to your WordPress website. But there's one other piece of the puzzle, which is you have to have the free version of the plugin installed in order to use the pro version. So it will take 2 plugins installed on your website to get the file manager up and running. Once you've got it installed, however, it's just going to show up in your left-hand sidebar here. Go ahead and click on it. You'll just see this public folder at first. This is my cloud storage. We'll set that up in a minute. And inside the public folder, you're going to see all of the files on your website. You can look through them. If you double click on one, it will download to your hard drive. You can right click just like you would do in Windows Explorer. And you've got tons of options here, very plainly labeled. They do have the menu up at the top here, but these are just icons, and personally, I find them a little bit hard to digest. Now, I'm sure if you use the plugin enough and you rely on these, you can probably start to remember what they are. But for me, the right click has labels, and that's what I like. I mean, this is a pretty full-featured file manager. You can resize it to take up more space in your browser window if you want. There is a full screen button up here. I'm not going to click it because I'm not recording my entire screen. I'm only recording this window, and it would literally make the file manager the entire screen. As I showed before, we've got a search bar up here, so we can search for specific files. If you're looking for that WP config file, you don't want to go ahead and click too much. You just go ahead and type in WP config. Everything shows up instantly. The search response is impressively fast. We can also compress files, archive them together. So I can select multiple files, right click, and then choose create archive. I've got a few different formats to choose from. So if I want to make a zip archive of my uploads folder and then download that, very easy to do. I can give it a name here like test, and there it is. Just double click and it starts downloading. Of course, I can clean all of this up, right click again, hit delete. It's going to go into the ether here. I don't know if there's an undelete function. I just wouldn't rely on that. If you delete something, make sure you want it gone. Now, most everything I showed you here is available in the free version of the plugin. So definitely download that, install it on your site, and play around with it if you're unfamiliar with having a file manager inside of WordPress. File managers in WordPress instantly cause the security experts to get on edge because yes, it is a vulnerability, and we'll address that in a little bit. But for now, let's have some fun before we get all caught up in anxiety and see the rest of the features. In the settings tab, we can go ahead and set up who can access the file manager. By default, it is set up to administrators only, and I do believe that is the correct setting. I don't see a world in which you would want to grant access to other people. So if you can come up with a situation that actually makes sense, okay, but then make sure you take security precautions to not expose your configuration files and get your entire site borked. But otherwise, there's just tons of different features here to suit your preferences. You can choose a different theme. So right now I'm on Material Light. If I wanted a dark theme, I could switch over to that, hit Save Changes, and the next time I'm in the file manager, now I've got a dark theme. Other important features include things like setting a maximum upload size. By default, it's set to 0, which means unlimited, but if you want to prevent users from uploading ginormous files, you can go ahead and set a limit here. I didn't even know this is here, but you can enable trash, which is a trash can just like you'd have on your desktop. Let's try this out. I'll hit Save Changes, go back over to the file manager, and now if I were to create a file, in fact, we can make a new folder here. I'll just press the New Folder button and say Test Folder. Here it is, and now I'm gonna delete it right away. I can delete it into trash, and check that out. I've got a little trash icon down there. All right, we're learning together. A few other nice options. We do have theme editing for the code editor, which is a different window that pops up when we right click on a file and say edit code. And there's also PHP debug features, so you can see real-time syntax error, much like you're using an IDE on your local machine to be able to see where there are issues. You know, you're missing a comma there, you're missing a bracket here. It can be very helpful to just knock out those simple bugs without needing to invoke AI. Speaking of AI, the integration is right over here. You simply turn it on, give it your OpenAI API key, and then you're ready to go. Anytime you are inside of the code editor, you'll be able to invoke AI to review your code, give you tips about how to fix it, or just explain what the heck is going on. Now, a nice thing here is it actually learns from the code base. So you can see what's going on. The AI can see what's going on in your project, get some context, and then go from there. It's not just simply prompt by prompt. It can observe your files. Now, there is supposed to be two different ways to use AI inside of the advanced file editor, although I can really only get the one way that I already showed you to work, which is you open up a file and then you open up the chat assistant and you can ask questions about it. There's supposed to be inline suggestions as well. So when you're typing code, AI will show code in like grayed out text, and then you just tab to complete, very much like Cursor or Copilot. All of these IDEs work similarly. However, I don't get any suggestions, so I don't know if that's a feature that is still coming, or I don't know, maybe they just don't maybe my code's perfect and they can't possibly fathom what I'm gonna do next. But that part doesn't work for me right now. Regardless, I do really like having this feature available to me. Sure, I can copy and paste stuff over into Claude or whatever I'm using that month, but I like having it right here so I can just view the entire file and I don't have to worry about downloading it and giving it access to stuff. So especially when you're working on client sites, maybe your own stuff, you can have GitHub access and it's just all tied in nice and neat, or you've got Claude Code running on your local machine, things like that. But when you're logging into client sites, you don't have that. So to be able to just bring your toolkit with you is really handy. I did notice that the image for the AI icon is not loading for me. I just get like kind of a failed icon here. So maybe we can get that looked at. I'm not sure. I don't have any VPNs blocking this or anything. So yeah, just one little bug to sniff out. There are notifications available. We're under settings, notifications. You can get notifications either via email, or you can connect it up to Slack to let you know when certain things happen, like files get deleted. That's handy to make sure no one's deleting anything maliciously. And you can set up your notification message down here. Now to the fun part, which is adding your integrations. These are outside services that will appear inside of your file manager. You can add 1, 0, all of them, anything you like. You can see the options here on the screen. I connected up Google Drive, toggle on the switch, open up the gear icon. You will need to provide some Google Cloud credentials. So if you're not sure what that means, it does get a little bit technical. They do have a good help doc to walk you through the process. But if you've ever used Google Cloud in the past, you know the routine. You have to create a project and an OAuth screen and yada, yada. It takes a minute or two, but once you do that a few times, you'll find it repeats over many, many applications. It's a good skill to have in your tool bag. And like I showed in the intro, it's really nice for backups or just transferring files off of Google Drive and onto your website. That can be really handy. I've got the uploads folder here that I dragged in that intro. If I wanted to add another file, I've got a zip file here. I'll just dump right in. It's from my desktop. It gets uploaded to my Google Drive via WordPress. So just access to your files in more places. It's very handy, especially if you're on the go and working on lots of different systems. Now, what's also kind of cool about this is I can right click on the file, choose Get Info, and then generate a shareable Google Drive link right here. Now I just right click right here, copy the link, and it's going to be shareable to anybody. If you want to make a download available on your website, but not stress your server and fill it up with all of your large files, this is one of the easiest ways to do so, especially if you're collaborating with a team and you're all sharing one Google Drive and you don't want to pay for additional users. So a little bit of a workaround here to share access to a particular folder. Well, it's not even really to a particular folder. You will get the whole drive showing up inside of the WordPress administration area. So make sure that that's okay with you. You can't exclude specific folders. So this would have to be a work folder that you're okay with everybody seeing. Another reason not to mix personal and professional all on one Google account. By the way, there are complete logs of everything that happens inside of the file manager. So click right over here where it says file logs, and you can see what users are doing what, who's downloading things, who's trashing things. There will be a complete record. I already showed you the database access. That is simply click the button and you are inside of AdMiner, which is basically like my PHP admin, just a slightly different application. It lets you see and edit the entire database. So if there's a problem with the website, one of the first things I often need to do is make changes to the database. And if the client doesn't know how to get into their hosting or doesn't know how to share access to their hosting, this can be a huge thing that takes hours of kind of back and forth of, did you go here? Did you share this? Did you ask so-and-so? Well, now you just install the plugin and you've got access to all of their files as well as the database. Now, that does raise some security issues, which we will talk about. We will get there. But there's one more feature to show you, and it's called blocks. So what a block is essentially a embeddable file browser that you can put on your website. It could be used by administrators only, but they can just log in and access things from the back end. More importantly, it can be used by your front end users. So if you want to have, let's say, a Dropbox, but you don't want to actually use Dropbox, you want to have a spot on your website where people can go and upload files to submit things. This is a really easy way to do so. I'll show you what I mean. I've got a post here on the website. I actually created it as a post and I simply added in a block, and you can see I have a folder here called user uploads, and anything I want to add to that will be added to my website's backend. So I've got an image here. If I wanted to upload this to the website, just drag and drop it as a user. Now I don't need to be logged in. I have no other permissions. I can't do anything else. I can simply add files and they will be submitted. You can even have this go right into the user's folder, so everything is nice and organized. And let's take a look at how this actually works on the back end. So under File Manager, we've got blocks, and blocks, you can create as many as you like. The one I just showed you is called test. Let's create a brand new one. So we can have the block type available to logged in users or non-logged in users, but not both concurrently, so they will need to be different. And then you can set user roles. So if you're a logged in user and let's say you are a customer, so you've already made a purchase from us, we want to request photos of a defect or something like that because you're requesting a return. Well, if you're a customer, then you can go ahead and get sent to this special page where you can upload a video or some photos of the problem you're having with a product. Use case there makes a lot of sense, right? The path, this is where the files will end up. So if you want it to be uploaded to a particular user's folder, they give you the path right here. This will be a user's personal folder. We just copy and paste that in. Or if you want to set up a dedicated user's upload folder where all of the files are collected, you could do exactly as I showed you before, which was to create a actual folder over here. We're gonna jump out of this and I'll just show you what I did. I went into the WP content folder and then I found the uploads folder, and then I just added another folder here called user uploads. Now, how do I know what to type into the path? Well, you right click, you choose get info, and then we've got a link to it right here, or it actually says path. I could just copy and paste that as well. Now, there are operations that you can make available. Like in the example I showed you, I only chose uploading. I could also enable deleting or downloading so that I could share files with users or other users could share files with other users. There's a lot of possibilities here, but we can essentially configure this to be whatever we need, which is tricky if you're non-technical because then it means you might grant too many permissions and you could expose files that you don't want to. So definitely don't handle this if you don't have any technical expertise, or set it up and test it thoroughly. Try to break it. Spend a great deal of time trying to break it before you share it with your customers. You know, with the self-hosting stuff, we get so concerned about security sometimes. And if you're on the smaller side of things, you're just getting going. One of the best ways to become competent is just to screw around. Set up a site like this one where you don't really care what happens to it. Try things out, see what different actions happen when you click things, and just start to put the puzzle pieces together. It's really one of the best ways to learn. Don't do that in your production site, and especially if you've got a lot of revenue coming in, you don't want to screw around there. But having a testing site to break stuff is definitely a fun thing to do. There's a ton of other features here. You can block particular users if you've got some bad actors that still need access to your site, but you don't want them uploading things. We can change the view type from grid to list. I didn't show you that in the file manager, but that is possible as well. Set up the theme, the date format. We can hide paths, enable trash can. We looked at that a little bit earlier. Set the overall dimensions of, it was kind of small inside of that post I showed you. We could make that a little bit bigger if we wanted to. And very importantly here, we've got read permissions and write permissions. By default, these are both on. If you don't want people to see other people's files, turn that off. That will be a very important thing. We can also hide certain UI options here. I don't care for this format. I mean, they take up so much space down below explaining what this is. So toolbar are action buttons. Well, why not just say action buttons right here? But you get where I'm going. We can hide the toolbar, the folder tree, the breadcrumb navigation, and file statistics. Set a maximum upload size, and then MIME types allows other different file types that can be uploaded. You know, certain ones could be more dangerous for security practices than others. So you could set this up to be maybe a specific, like we're only allowing zip files or something like that. Okay, so let's address the final two things that I mentioned that we are going to cover here is why would you pay for a plugin like this when you can get a free version without any cost? And the answer would be if you want that cloud access, if you want the AI integration to edit the files, and you want other fun things like the blocks to be able to allow different users to upload or download files. That might not apply to all of you, but if you're serving clients, I think you'll find that file managers are pretty convenient. On the flip side, if you're a security nut, you will also find that, I don't know, in my experience, almost 100% of problems where someone maliciously entered a website ends up with them installing a file browser plugin and then uploading malware through that. So that is very dangerous. But the problem is they can, if they've got access to the website, they can just go in the repository and download a file browser and then, or a file manager, and upload their malware through that. It doesn't necessarily make you any safer by not using one yourself. So what you need to do is follow good WordPress security practices, have the password that you use on your WordPress website only used on that one site. Use two-factor authentication. There's a lot of ways to do that now with WordPress. Go ahead and search the repository, ask in the comments, and I'll give you some suggestions there. Ideally, you're going in and cleaning up old administrators, old contractors that worked on your website that no longer need access, just making sure that all of your plugins are licensed and updated and secure. That is what will make your WordPress website most secure, is not simply being allergic to things that can be convenient, like file manager plugins. And I say this after having greatly changed my tune over the years. When I first started working on WordPress, I heard that these types of plugins were bad and I avoided them. I never used them. And I would have contractors that I would work with, they would install them and use them. I'd be like, what are you doing? That's not secure. And the truth of the matter is, if they can access the website and install it, well, anyone who's accessing the site maliciously can also do that. So what are we trying to prevent here? I mean, it seems like we're trying to prevent convenience and getting things done efficiently, whereas what we really need to do is make sure that no one malicious gets into the site. So that's Advanced File Manager Pro. It is the Pro version here, even though it doesn't say so on the AppSumo website. I am very happy this is available as a lifetime deal. It's not going to be for everybody, but if you're a WordPress professional, it's probably something you should have in your toolkit, even if you don't use it on the daily, something that you can pull out if you're in an emergency and you need to go ahead and edit that database and the client just has no idea what a database is. I almost don't want to score this one because it's like, what am I even comparing it to? It's a good plugin. It certainly could use some polish. I honestly don't like the look of the file manager itself. It kind of looks dated. I wish it looked more like this. This looks like the Finder in Mac, but at least at the distance. Maybe it's like when you get close, it doesn't look good, but it's functional. And you know, that's what a lot of developer tools are. They're not beautiful, but they are functional. And so I don't know, I'll give this one probably a 7.6. I mean, it's good. It does everything you want. There's a few little bugs like the AI inline autocomplete doesn't really work for me and that image wouldn't load, but I mean, we're really just kind of scraping the bottom of the barrel here. It does all of the essential things I would want out of a file manager plugin and lets me bring in my content from other cloud sources, making my life easier. What do you think? Am I crazy for liking a file manager plugin? Let me know in the comments. I'm sure that you will. If you've enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Use my affiliate link if you want to grab your own copy of Advanced File Manager. That's all for this video. My name is Dave. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next review.